Good morning everybody, Juan here. Welcome back to the channel. For this video, it's time to finally show parts of our brand new home. Earthquakes aside in Puerto Rico, we have been moved in for 2 weeks now, and we've been loving the place. Like any transition that you have, you know, when you go from one home to another, you're always like, wait a minute, I miss this about the old place, but then you see the incredible opportunities in the brand new place. So in this video, we're gonna split it off into two different parts. The first one, we're gonna show you what we have going on right now in our family room / game lounge. And then in the second part, I'm gonna be showing you my in-home recording studio. So that's where I go to have my safe space, to edit, to work on videos. Whereas in the family room, this is where I play games with my wife, with our friends. So if you like what I do and you want to help support the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, give me the thumbs up, and hit on that notifications bell. And without further ado, my friends, let us begin this small in-home studio tour, including a little bit of the family room. And here we go, my friends. So the reason that I wanted to start things off with the family room is that if you've been subscribed to my channel, this almost seems like the most familiar setup where, you know, I had the two shelves and all that. And this is where we're gonna house most of our video games. Now, when we get to my in-home recording studio, you're gonna see a couple of more video games, but starting off on the left side, all of this stuff is just a placeholder because they already had nails on the wall and I wanted to fill that up. So this is like a Dollar Tree Brock Lesnar. I love this so much because it looks so bad. That looks nothing like the Beast. And then Wolverine Nightcrawler. This is actually made by a local artist from Puerto Rico. My wife loves Yoshi, so we put that there right now. But this is all gonna change. Really, I just tried to cover up this security system. That's why Undertaker's back there kind of just like lurking. I mean, just look at him. Hello there. So this is our modified arcade one-up machine. I've worked on 2 videos for this. So the first one was just overall reviewing the Street Fighter 2 cabinet, which I thought that it's okay, right? But then after that, I did modify all of it. So from new buttons to joysticks, right there I have a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus or something like that. Eventually I want to get the new one, but I see that it still doesn't have like full support for RetroPie. So I'm waiting for that before I make any adjustments. And then on the left side, starting off, this is the exact same shelf that you saw in our previous in-home studio. This is what was usually in my background. So we didn't readjust many of the things. We just kept it so it's like at the top now. We have some Funko Pops. It's like a collectibles area. These are some things that some of our friends have given to us through time. So we wanted to keep this as like a little bit of everything. Going back to my topic of why I love to physically collect video games, right? It's a chance to show off what we love, but with this second area, my wife loves the Fifth Element, so that's the 4K Blu-ray, and then we have a couple of the Funko Pops here. The DS games and the 3DS games and a couple of the Game Boy Color games, this is not alphabetically organized, I just realized that, people. We put that together with the Switch games, you'll see why a little bit later, but then we have this Pixel Pal with Mario. I love these, but for video, they're pretty bad. Let me see if this one has batteries, I forget. It does, right? But see what I mean? When you turn it on for a video, it loses a lot of the color. So it's like as cool as it seems, it kind of doesn't work. This is a mug that I think I got during my first trip at the Nintendo store. Not the one that I did in the last December, but the one before that. Just a couple of the PS1 games that we have because those are now in my in-home recording studio. Then we have our Switch collection, which so many of these games I have not played because my wife is the one that has played them, like Shantae. I was thinking about this game, which annoys me that it's a lot bigger. Like here's the box for this one. And it's like, come on, man. I love collector's editions, but it is frustrating that it kind of just ruins the entire package, right? Moving on, we have the PS4 games. That hasn't really changed from what we had before, except we now have a couple of Xbox One games. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7, and this is a 360 game. This is a 360 game. This game was given to me by a friend, so I focus far too much on Game Pass. So these are just a couple of my physical computer games. The PS3 collection, which I definitely want to show some love to this year. Same thing with 360. Here we have some of our wrestling stuff. So these are part of the unboxings that you see on the channel with the Pro Wrestling Loot Service. some of these DVDs I have gotten there. This is from a company called IndieBox, and they used to do these monthly services with like these really big boxes. And it's a shame that they stopped. So the company still exists, but now they focus on producing items for other indie companies, and I kind of miss that. Because not a lot of games really physically fit in there, we just put some Funko Pops. Now this is where the changes start happening. When you move into a home, you have all of these ideas, but then when it comes into practice, it's like, oh, not so good. So this is the little shelf that I had behind me in the previous in-home recording studio, and I was so sure I was gonna put it in my new office, but then it was too big, and you'll see what I mean. So we just instead turned it into like this collectibles area. Starting off the top, we just have the PlayStation Classic box. I'm a big fan of the Batman movies, the animated movies and all that stuff. So this is made by a local artist. And then obviously you have the Christian Bale trilogy, Batman Returns. I love the movie, the style. I'm a wrestling fan, people, so I gotta show some love to that professional wrestling. And I realize the camera's a little dark here, but I thought it would be kind of interesting to show off some of my wrestling action figures, but tie that in to my N64 plastic boxes from Custom Game Cases. So Diamond Dallas Page, Undertaker, WCW versus WWF. But in addition to that, these two did have quite a rivalry that was not very good. So let's not keep talking about that. This is really cool. So I think I've mentioned this before. This is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU box for the first phase of the movies. I got this, people. It was open, but pretty much new, for $60 to $70 at a pawn shop. And this goes for over $200. So it includes all of the movies from the first phase, but also has a lot of these collectibles. This is like one of the things that I love to showcase whenever we have friends come over, because it's got like prototypes of stuff. They did an excellent job of making it feel like a real thing. And then here we got the Stranger Things Blu-ray set on a Black Friday. Pandemic, it is a great board game. It also has a version on Xbox Game Pass. The prototype box that we got at Video Games New York, but it's too big, so it wouldn't fit anywhere else. And then there's Alloy Funko Pop. The thing that I gotta point out, we did not spend a single dollar to build the setup right now. We already had all these things. These shelves you had already seen. This is my original shelf that I got for free many years ago. It was originally brown. I spray painted it black. If you go back to my old channel, not even Epic JC or PlayerJuan, I had this in my background. So this has almost become like a celebration of everything that we've been doing. But then at the top, we did fall into that trap of buying a lot of Funko Pops. We don't really do that anymore. We thought that it would be nice to have this wall. And surprisingly enough, people, this did not fall during the earthquakes that have been happening. I did have a casualty with a Wii U game. It's okay, but it did fall to the ground. Here we have our Blu-ray collection, which really gets no love because look, with Netflix, Hulu, and all that, it's just not worth it, really. So we don't even bother to categorize this. This has become the thing of like, hey, power's out, get a laptop out, or internet's out, so let's watch a Blu-ray movie. We have our Wii games. You can barely see this. Let me see here. Okay, I think that's better. I have the GameCube stuff. This is where the PlayStation 2 collection begins, which is another part of my collection that I want to show a lot of love to in this year because I just love the PS2 so much. And then here we have some Xbox stuff. This is literally just leftover that like didn't fit anywhere else, or it would mess up the aesthetics, if you will. That has been pretty much it for this part. Now, before we get to our in-home office, I want to show you this, which is me. Hi. I am actually wearing pants and a t-shirt, just in case you were wondering. Back here, let me just give you a sneak peek. Oh boy, this is the leftover stuff. This is where we haven't put up shelves in the other parts of the home, so we're still just like figuring out. So a lot of this may even change, as time goes by. But the reason that we call this a game lounge is because of this area right here. I talked about the poof in a previous video, super comfortable, and it is still the perfect nap area. But this home came with this awesome part. This is real wood. So here, this is where we put wine. So when we want to hang out with friends and all that. And when we go in here, this is where I put most of the cables. Wow, I forgot to put that here. So, hey, you want to see young Juan? There it is. I was suffering from severe depression there. and I met Lita from the WWF, and that was a really eventful day for me. But here is the uncategorized area of my cables, so HDMI, just video outs and all that. But when we get here, this is what I'm currently working on. I'm trying my best to divide by console or company. So obviously this is the Nintendo corner, right? So we have USB controllers, an original N64 controller. You saw some of this in my previous video and it was really cluttered, and now it's like super nice that I can just look at that. Like here we have some collectibles, but most of these are actually just Skylanders. And I want to talk about that game at some point during the year, but this is going to be the Xbox and PS3 section. I have the Xboxes hooked up to my recording studio, which is why that's pretty much empty. And then here is once again just leftover pile, because the very first night that we moved into our new home is when the earthquake happened in Puerto Rico. And hey, people, you gotta clean stuff up, so disinfecting wipes just in case. And then over here, this is a temporary setup. So this is actually not that comfortable. This is a piece of furniture that they had left over here. We just kind of left it there. I painted this. It used to be like a horrible puke brown color or something. But this is where my wife and I usually have breakfast, because we don't have a dining area yet. We have the space, but we haven't bought the furniture. This is where we hang out. This is where we play games with our friends. So we have the Xbox One X, the PlayStation 4 Pro, and the Nintendo Switch. And you may be wondering, so Juan, how do you work on videos for these? So the compromise, because we didn't want to be swapping out consoles back and forth, and even my wife that she streams, right? So the PlayStation 4, the original one, and the big Xbox One, the original one that we have, those are the ones that get moved in back and forth. The Switch, I want to get an additional Switch dock or like an HDMI out or something, so that way I can just take the Switch out. But that's where you see all the controllers. And now, people, that's part of my car. Don't worry, it's not going to crash into the home. We are actually going to physically walk around the house. Oh my goodness. I'm vlogging. I feel like an old person right now. Okay, this is the hallway. As you can see, it's very tinny. That right there, people, that is the bathroom. You do bathroom things in that. Welcome to my in-home recording studio. Let's just get in here, close the door. We don't want the air conditioning to go out. So I think that's the most important thing, because otherwise I was going to die, because this is what this room looked like, with a bed, with a window, and what you see right now on screen, that is where the window used to be. So I paid somebody to completely seal that off, and I developed this just thing with 3 different colors. I'm a really big fan of it. As you can see, we have the 360, PlayStation 3, the regular PlayStation 4, the thick Xbox One, the PlayStation 2, which Sony, I really need you to make things backwards compatible, because 1, 2, 3. And people, the lovely Wii U. And this is where I had the Switch up until a few days ago, because yesterday we did have friends. So we were playing Puyo Puyo Tetris, didn't win a single session, it sucked. But this is an IKEA piece of furniture, usually used for televisions. The reason that I got this is that I wanted something that was not intrusive and that I could comfortably put all the consoles without it physically or visually being on camera. So in here, this is where I put the controllers. So you see we have the PlayStation Classic, Wiimotes, 360 controllers, my PlayStation 3 DualShock controller, a Mad Catz controller in case I hate somebody and I want them to play a game with me. So just a little bit of everything. Same thing with here. I have a laptop that was given to me by an awesome friend. I have other really good things. And then on the left, you see right here is a sound panel. The reason that a sound panel is right there is because this is behind my desk. So I wanted to make sure that not a lot of sound was bouncing off. This was actually sent to me by a great friend and longtime supporter from New York, Ramon Triff. He reached out to me one time and was like, Juan, I love what you're doing, so I would like to make something like custom made for you. So we actually set up a Skype call, and he was asking me, hey, you know, what do you love? What do you love about video games, like pop culture? So Old San Juan, you see El Morro, you see a character from Final Fantasy Tactics, Star Ocean, The Second Story, Final Fantasy VIII. I've talked about Final Fantasy VIII and, you know, how it helped me deal with depression. And it's no joke, people. I don't just talk about that like, look at that. You know, that really does mean something to me. Plus, I love the fact that you saw Undertaker in the other room. Here he is again, but it's old school Taker. But then we have some Pokemon with this blue and purple background. And even though the channel is no longer called Epic JC, I love the fact that it does have that, because everybody grows and I want to be able to display that. This is something that I had custom made in 2013 by a friend's dad. He told me, hey, my dad is a pretty good painter. I saw some of his stuff and I was like, damn, I would love to have that, you know, have your dad do something for me. Eddie Guerrero is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. If you check out the unboxing videos and all that, the pickups, you know I'm subscribed to the Pro Wrestling Loot, and there they gave me a lot of pins. But I had this pin board completely just packed up, and honestly, it looked a little bit ugly. So what I did is I took out a lot of things. In the middle, I have the Extra Life. You know, Extra Life is a 24-hour video game marathon where we play in benefit of a children's organization. We play for the San Jorge Children's Foundation of Puerto Rico. But I tried to have this arc of classic superstars, and then we have Dead Cells pins and all that stuff. The Indie Mega Booth from when we went to PAX. None of this is nailed to the wall because, for those who don't know, we don't really use a lot of drywall in Puerto Rico, so this is actual cement. Check that out. So I didn't want to damage the wall because this is still a work in progress. I could change my mind, right? So what I did is I got some Velcro, and this works surprisingly well. And these Beat Sprites were made by a longtime friend of mine from New York. He sent those out to me. Much like other people that I met online, I've known him for 15 years, so he even came to my wedding. So it's like the significance, and it's why I love to show and do these things, you know, online stuff in the channels. I really do believe in this awesome connection. This IKEA shelf I got, it was only like $17 because I didn't want to just put another shelf. I was like, it would be too much. So I wanted an accent piece. So I got this. This was like $5 from IKEA. I got to put a light in it, but I don't have the proper bulb. They are smaller bulbs. My wife won this. It's like a thing that used to be in these loot crates. This is from the indie booth, the indie boxes. And this is Bad Dudes. I think it actually has batteries in it. Yeah, it does. I got this for $5 at Walmart. It's kind of like a bad version of Bad Dudes, but hey, it's a freaking small arcade machine that I wanted to modify, but then I realized whatever, it looks nice like that. Some of the retro game magazines, which are really good. A flip grip if you want to play bullet hell shooters vertically on the Nintendo Switch. So let me pan out now so you get a broad sense of what I'm showing you here. Now I can't go any farther back because my desk is right behind me, but this right here is the recording setup. So now as we move to the left, this is sort of like the gaming part of the room, right? The biggest challenge that I had when I knew I was gonna get my in-home recording studio was, well, I've had the game shelf behind me so long, but at the same time, honestly, I wanted to have that be somewhere else because this was a place for working, for editing, and like an overall individual hangout spot for me. So what I did, I put just a select amount of games so you get a broad idea or a basic idea of what I like. Starting with the wrestling games on the upper left, the idea is that these games, they're gonna change, right? So like I had WWE 2K14 on a previous video. Here I had Super Mario 3D World. So it's like this cool thing, right? Where it's like, oh, what am I gonna change? Maybe I can tie that to a specific game or theme or something. Here we have a couple of Xbox games, 360, PlayStation 3, and it's a curated list. I actually went back and forth multiple times just thinking about, which game and why? I love Wolverine, Oscar's Wrath. I have the 360 and the PS3 version. So it's like, hey, I really do love that game. And then over here we have the PS1 games, including mostly the RPGs, the PlayStation 2 jam packs. And then here, much like the other place, I have a leftover pile because once again, I'm still figuring stuff out. Now, if you saw my previous video, this is actually the exact same shelf. I did not buy this shelf. This is, well, I mean, technically we bought it at some point, right? But this is the place where we had the television. Just before, it was horizontal, so it was laid down. So what I did is I put it up vertically and then I put the games in there because I realized, and you may notice, I do not have a television as I've yet to show off my computer desk. If you look over here, you actually see some of the scruffs and scratches from when the television was posted up. So this is the part that was to the floor. So I strategically put that there just so it would not be on camera. And then here, We bought this at Costco about 1.5 years ago. So once again, you got to be frugal. You got to be strategic about what you have. And this is so people can sit here, you know, when they hang out, but at the same time, it is a storage unit. So right now, collectibles are going in there, things that I may want to show off in a video or something. And you may have noticed I have these black pieces of foam throughout the room, and you're like, what the hell is that? Well, I did a lot of research because I didn't want to have the visible part of my studio to just be a bunch of sound absorbing foam, right? So these are called bass traps. Sound tends to bounce off from the corners a lot, so these help absorb that. So I have 2 there, I have 1 there. If you get sick like me a lot, if you live in an environment that gets a lot of dust and stuff, that is an air purifier. I've had that for over 1 year, so I always have that running whenever I'm here, even if I'm not. Sometimes I turn it off, and then this rug is a very thin rug. I eventually want to swap this out for a much thicker one. I already had this one though, which is why I put it. Cost me $15 at Costco. And then you may be wondering just what the hell is going on here. So in addition to this being a recording studio, this has kind of become like my wellness area where I put some things in my monitor to just check out. Like I was watching the Royal Rumble 2000. So while I was watching that, I was just working on this puzzle piece that a friend gave to me of the Golden Girls. And then somehow we're gonna transition to this. So this is where I spend most of my time right now. And this is all work in progress, but I am super, super proud. Let me just give you a broader sense of how this room's looking right now. That's the entrance. That's where we just came in from. And then right here is the recording part. I gotta address this. The only reason, people, that that's still there is because the dumb companies, they embedded this into that. So I'm paranoid that by just me yanking this out, I'm gonna break it off or something. I realize I eventually gotta do it, but now's not the time. But I got this for $50, people. So brand new chair. It was on sale at Costco for $50, so it was pretty good, but I don't need you in my sight right now. And starting from the top, people, with the left, that is my camera bag. That's where I have all the stuff for, guess what? The camera. We have a tripod, just some cables and things related once again to the camera. That's another camera that I haven't used for a long time, but it does have some lenses that are compatible with this one. All of this foam, including all of the ones you've seen previously, they are actually removable. What I did is that these ones up top, they are actually spray painted like the glue, like the spray glue. I spray glued these into a foam panel, and then what I did, so it would be removable so I could clean these, I put some Velcro on that. The Velcro is not directly glued onto the foam panel, the sound absorbing panel. It's to the foam panel, like a small thin piece. Maybe you can see some of that, see? So that's the connection. So I can just remove all of this, clean it right up, and take it right out. The microphone that I have connected to this camera is a $40 microphone called the Movo, and it's connected directly here. And initially, I was gonna put it right there, and it was gonna be above me, see? So it would be like a shotgun microphone. And even though the sound works, because I hope this sounds pretty good, right? I'm a very picky person when it comes to sound, so what I did is that I instead used this boom arm for a light source. This is connected directly to my computer via USB. It's completely dimmable. And then I have this one, which this one is actually battery powered. It's obviously a lot larger. It's my main light source. And what I love is that because it's battery powered, I can turn it on, last 2 hours, or I can just leave it plugged in and it's pretty good to go. And behind that, you see like a bunch of options. You can dim it, you can change the temperature. Here's the same tripod that I used beforehand. What I love is that tripod shows off that studio look, which is what you'll see for upcoming videos. Now, I do also work on some mental health stuff and some trainings and online webinars. So if I put the tripod over there, check that out. This is more or less the camera angle that you end up with. So it's super clean. People don't see this and ask many questions, believe me. I did do a webinar once with this in the background. In the previous place, a lot of questions were asked. And because this is a short desk, you don't see any of that. You may be wondering, so how do you get this over to that? I put an HDMI splitter and an HDMI switch back there. So all of the consoles are connected to one source. and that HDMI goes out to my computer, and from there I have a splitter so I can see everything right here, and then I have an auxiliary cable from this monitor that goes over to this glorious, incredibly expensive, people. This soundbar, thousands of dollars. It was $20, people. A $20 soundbar. It sounds good. Hey, look, come on. $20. Eventually, I want to get like a really good sound system because I have the perfect place for this right now, right? But I want it to be frugal, so I got this to get the job done, and it does. So the good thing is I can hear any console or anything that I'm doing on my computer, and I love that. So I have the Stream Deck, keyboard, none of this changed. My goal is to be able to get some kind of computer upgrade around summertime, but obviously I gotta work on saving up because we gotta pay the damn house. And I changed the camera to do the closing part of the video, and I realized, Juan, you forgot about the most important part of the entire room. So right up above me, you see a light source. It's an LED light. I'm pulling out my phone. You may be wondering, why are you doing that? So with a little bit of Wi-Fi, you know what? I feel like working on a PlayStation video, maybe a little bit of Blue. What if I want to do another Xbox Game Pass video? So people can dislike it and tell me I don't know which games are good. Now say I want to work on some Nintendo Switch videos and just have a little bit of red in the background to really get the message across. Say I simply want a basic light source, but I don't want it to overpower me. The future is now, people. I was like a little kid. My wife also got this. So it's a Wi-Fi LED light we got from Amazon, and these are awesome. So what I love is that if I'm recording, then it's one light source, right? And if I'm editing, I change that to fit the theme. So it's like a really nice thing where it's like, how do you feel today, Juan? And then based on that, I change the lights. But let me know what you think about this. As I mentioned, this is going to continue to change. I already have a couple of ideas for some things that I would like to do a long term, but I want to be able to work with what I have for like the next 6 months to a year, and then figure out like, okay, so for this type of video, do I feel comfortable? Like even right now, where I'm doing this vlog type video, I've never really done that before on the channel, with the exception of the game hunting stuff, but ideally, I would like to be able to have a more personal approach to everything that I'm doing. Even comparing this video to the game tour for the previous office, right? Like this, I wanted to grab the camera because I thought it would be a lot more personal. Maybe it leads for a longer video, but I thought that I don't want to just show something and be like, hey, here we go, this is it. No, I wanted to give you the explanations behind everything, right? Because I really do feel a connection with every comment, with every view. I really do. I wanted to make sure that this is not my space, that this is our space. So let me know what you thought about this, and if you like what I do and you want to help support the channel, as we recently reached 3,000 subscribers, and once again, thank you, I love you. Please consider hitting that subscribe button, hit on that notifications bell, and share any of the videos, whether it be the Wii U videos, the PlayStation Now videos. I have a lot of videos cooking up, but with the earthquakes in Puerto Rico, honestly, I'm kind of just going day by day because the mood is not always there. So I'll keep everybody updated on social media. So up until next time, thank you for watching and supporting, and take care, everybody.